G'day all, welcome back to the show for men. Today we're going to be looking at a Courtney Ryan video called 15 Best Questions to Ask on a First Date. As you all know, guys, men just love asking questions. We love also interrogating, apparently. Alright, so if you want to watch the original, as always, the link's in the video description without me ranting and carrying on.
Number 1 is, what made you interested in going out with me? Right off the bat, I'm like, I don't know about that. So let's read the little thing. It says, a question like, do you like me on the first date is a surefire conversation ender. Yeah. Whereas an open-ended conversation like this one can start a conversation and lead into another question. By understanding what stood out to them about you, whether it's something you shared on your Hinge profile or randomly at the coffee shop you met, you can get to know what sparks their interest a little bit better. This question is also a little flirtatious, which can ignite a nice little spark at the beginning of your date. You know, I can kind of see that.
I don't actually think that's a good idea at all. I wouldn't ask any questions because you ask stuff like that, it goes to show that you may have low confidence and not sure about yourself. It's not a question I personally would ever ask. Maybe those who are maybe inexperienced might want to ask that question. I've had women ask me that question, and I always found it a very strange question to answer. But what is the answer to that question? Let's just be real about what that answer is. For the most part, it's going to be your photos. That is the reason why either a man or a woman is going to match, right, with somebody on a dating app. I'm talking about dating apps here. All right, match with you, and then maybe want to meet up with you. That's really all it is. Yeah, you might have some quirky, funny lines in your bio that I think are like one percenters, don't really help you that much. It might help in a fringe benefit case, but most of the time they don't read your profile. The amount of times I've been out, met up with women for coffee, and they're like, oh, what do you do for work? What do you do for this? And blah, blah, blah. And back in the day when I used to put all that information on the profile, it was all there. They didn't read it. It goes to show you they didn't read it at all. They just looked at the picture. They liked the picture. Let's meet up.
That one as well. It's a little bit flirty, like, oh, what made you want to go out with me? Like asking it in kind of a joking way, I think could be a good way to ask this one.
No.
If you wanted to get more specific, say you and the person that you're going out with met on a dating app, you could say something like, oh, what caught your eye on my dating app? Or what made you swipe right? I think this one could also go maybe not so great depending on who you're out with and what their answer is. But yeah, asking, do you like me is one of the worst questions you could ask. So this question is definitely better than that. So, pretty good. But again, be wary, could go wrong.
That is probably the first time I've ever agreed with Courtney. So good on you, Courtney. I'm on board. So far, you're very level-headed in this video. Oh, this old one. What are you looking for? All right, let's jump into that. I've got a little bit to say about this.
One is, what are you looking for? The point of this question is to gauge whether your dating goals are aligned. For sure, this says whether you're looking for a casual hookup or a life partner, their response will give you a clue as to what they're looking for. And you know what? When they tell you what they're looking for, believe them. I think this is where a lot of women really struggle with dating. They'll go out with a guy, they ask the guy, what are you looking for? The guy says, oh, just something casual, a hookup. And the girl's like, okay, yeah, I can get him to want to be in a relationship with me. I can change his mind. We're not doing that. We're too old for that. When people tell you what they're looking for, when people tell you who they are, believe them. Don't try to change their mind. So if you ask this question to someone and they give you an answer that does not align with yours, don't even waste your time, right?
Oh, there we go. Look, I hate this question because it sucks the whole fun out of the dating process. So men and women, I guess women of a certain age as well, like Courtney said, getting a bit old, right? Getting a bit old to be playing games. That's all this is saying. I don't want to play games. I've had my fun, and now it's time to settle down. That old good one. All right, that's what are you looking for? That's more or less the softer version of that statement. Why do I think that? Because they're not asking you what are you looking for. So it gives you an opening to say, yeah, I just want to get my throbbing nuclear stage 5 dim sim out. I'm ready for action. No, they want you to say something along the lines of, they're leading you. They want you to say something along the lines of, I'm looking for something serious. I'm looking to meet someone I can start a family with and get married to and all that sort of stuff. That's a perfect answer. So Courtney's not fully switched on with the Brycey or Skynet, right? Because a lot of guys get asked this question. And I used to answer this question back years ago when I first got on the dating apps again after being separated. I used to be very, very honest, say, yeah, nothing too serious, see how we go. You work out pretty quick, women are not going to meet up with you if you say that. Maybe some will, right? But not really, especially in the age range of 30 plus. They're all keen to get a guy who knows what he wants and he wants to settle down. He doesn't want to waste time. So what did I do? And what does Skynet do? All right. We all learn at a geometric rate. We are all Skynet, guys. We are all Skynet. You start lying because you realize that's the only way to get dates. Because if you're honest or you admit the truth, they're not going to go out with you most of the time. You've got to say, good luck on your search. I'm not looking for that. I'm too old for that. You guys know what I'm talking about. You got experienced guys who have been on dating apps and monster hunting and all that. You're going to get that. So you lie, or you tell little white lies, right? Or you sell a dream. Hey, that dream might come true. You never know if the girl is actually something you're looking for. That happens. Bryce's and Steve-O's go out with the chick with the thought of short-term expectation. She turns out to be a bit of a gem. They go out with them, they get girlfriends. So that's sort of how a Steve-O and a Brycey approaches dating, not straight up bang. I want. Like you read these chicks' profiles. Okay, I'm not ranting here. That's what you're here for. Because this is something. It just annoy me. It's just not fun. All right. You read these profiles. No ONS, no FWB, no this, no that. Cool. Well, you've just told yourself that you've been sucked in a bunch of times by guys doing that. You're saying you're not going to be fun. You're going to be very rigid. You have that stuff in the profile. That means that you're going to put rules up in the dating process. It's not going to be fluid. All right. You're going to get guy to go on a certain amount of dates, and you're not going to want to put out for a certain amount of times, and all this sort of thing. It's just not fun. It used to put me off. It puts other guys off. Because what do guys look at women for? All right, initially, all right. For most guys, now there are guys out there. I know. I'm talking about Brycey and Steve-O's. I know there are guys out there who do want to get a girlfriend and all of that, and that is the main goal. Well, guess what? Most girls don't want those guys. Even if they say they want you, and you say those things, it's just not fun and exciting in the bag straight away. If they want a guy, they've got to feel like they value that commitment from him. All right, so yeah, it's. I'll move on from it.
And I've often found that it's a waste of time to try to make yourself aligned with someone who has made it very clear from the beginning, aka first date, that they're looking for something entirely different than you are. You know, if you're a guy who's looking for a serious relationship and the girl that you're on a date with tells you that she just wants a hookup, well, believe her. This says, don't be afraid to be direct about your dating goals. It's a time saver. Yeah, I agree. You know, I think it's important to date with intention, especially if you're getting to the stage where you're looking for a serious relationship. You guys know that I also don't promote.
This is guys don't think like this. This is basically telling you play by play the thought process of a chick in her early to mid 30s. I don't know how old Courtney is, and I think she's married and all that sort of thing. He says how women think about men. It's all based on time, especially when that clock is ticking. And I find it's just hilarious because all the things that I talk about and other guys talk about and we all know or have experienced get validated when you hear them literally talk about it.
Casual fling, situationships, hookup culture, I think it's really harmful for a lot of people, and it's just not something that my channel is about. If you are interested in that or that's what you're looking for, my channel probably is not the channel for you, and that's okay. But if you're looking for a serious relationship, you know, you should be with someone who's looking for a serious relationship too. And that's
exactly right. Exactly, but they don't do that. Guys, I admit it. I used to be a complete deviant. I used to go on these apps and say and do all sorts of things. All right, and these girls would eat it up and love it. And even if they realised that what I was selling wasn't going to come, they would still chase and hang around. But there would be so many other guys. That's what I think's so funny. So many other guys that would love to take those girls out that I was seeing on dates and be lovely to them. And they told me, oh no, he's boring and I know this guy and I would just eat him alive and all this sort of stuff. So they do say one thing, they want another. They want a certain kind of guy. The guy they want to commit and the guy they want to have something serious with, that's the guy that all the other girls want too. And I'm not saying I was that guy, right? I had some pretty decent experiences, like good experience on dates. I'm not saying I was a guy who had like 15 girls wanting to marry me or something. That was never it, right? I'm not bragging. I'm just saying this was just something that I've been told by women. They get friendly with you. I ask questions. I'm a very curious guy. I like doing my research, getting my data. They'll tell you. They'll tell you without telling you. The guys that are offering it up, they're boring. There's nothing fun about them. They want to have the chase, but they want to lock down the guy who has everything going for him that every other chick wants. When I say every other chick, comparable to her, right, on the scale of attractiveness and all of that, right? It's different for everyone. I'm not saying every single chick wants every single good-looking guy. What I'm saying is chicks rally to her. Well, they're all going to want the same guy too. So anyway, I find it hilarious.
I think it is important to be aligned on. So good question. Next question is, what matters to you? This says, asking questions that are too specific, like what are your hobbies, can unintentionally isolate the other person. Maybe they don't have hobbies, but asking what matters to them will solicit a response for sure. Maybe they're really invested in a TV show. Okay, but that could isolate the other person too if they don't really watch TV.
Let's think about it too much. So this is a stupid question. What about people just say, what are you into? What do you like doing in your spare time, your free time, whatever, right? You're getting to know people. I don't think there's much to talk about this. Let's keep going. All right, never ask this question. Okay, I know guys will say, well, no, G-man, I have certain values and I'm not going to acquiesce on my values. I gotcha, right? But especially on the short term, don't talk too much. Do not go political. Most women that I've ever gone out with and seen and gone on dates with, they lean to the left. Now, if you're left-leaning, that's cool. But a lot of guys, or more guys, would generally lean to the right. I'm not trying to be political here. I'm just telling you. So you'll say something and you'll just wipe yourself off. Boom. Boom. You'll say one thing and you'll see her looking down her nose at you. You know you've just fucked it up. That's why I say don't talk politics and all this sort of shit. Now, if you're going for the long term and that's your play, if that's your thing, that's what you want to do whatever you want. Fine, ask these questions because you may as well get there quicker than later because that's when a lot of relationships and marriages blow up when people realise they're not compatible after they've committed.
Is when you think of a recent big political event, is there something that stands out to you? You know, this could be good for a lot of different reasons. It could show if you're aligned in terms of politics, which I think can be important. It can show if they're educated about what's going on in the world. I think a lot of people have no idea, and maybe for some of you that's totally fine. Maybe you're also someone who has no idea what's going on in the world, and that doesn't bother you. But if you are someone who is very in tune with what is happening around the globe, if you're, someone who's educated on politics and things like that, you might want to be with someone who is too. This says, you'll see if you're compatible with the way you see the world. Also, those tend to be big deals for people. The age-old dating rule not to talk about religion or politics on the first date is kind of outdated. Yeah.
I don't think it's outdated. I don't think it's outdated at all, guys. If you want to get the steam and dim sim in, and you're only there sort of, maybe it might go somewhere, right? But if your intent is to get in, get out, don't start talking politics. That's one way. Don't start talking politics, and I'm sure they're going to get into it, asking questions about ex-girlfriends and shit like that. All right, let's move to the next one. What does your work-life balance look like? Yeah, cool. Who cares? Women are very keen to understand your job, where'd you study, all that sort of stuff, because we're just trying to work out how much money you make, really. We don't care about that. I think what I've noticed about women is they want a guy who's all financially set up. I'm not saying all of them, right? Some women couldn't care about money, but the majority do, whether it's explicitly or implicitly. They want a guy who has money, but it's also available and has a lot of time on his hands. And those things don't go together. Now, if you got a guy who's got a career that's got a lot of pressure, or he might run his own business, or he's a tradesperson who's running his own trades business, the availability window is going to be small. And if they're successful and make good money, they're going to be prioritizing on that business while business is good, all right? And while the career is good, trying to climb that ladder like a rat. not trying to spend time and losing money by hanging out with chicks. All right, here we go. Don't know, what would you have had a week off? He gives a shit about that. All right, let's move. All right, before we move on, guys, if you're enjoying my content, my commentary, consider subbing to the channel. We're getting some good growth. We've just ticked over 6K subs, so thank you, everybody. The best way, guys, to help is just watch through, like, comment, all that sort of stuff that every other single creator says, but it does work, especially even if I raise it, that, you know, and remind you. I don't like doing it, but it appears to work. All right, let's keep going.
Time with people, how often are you the one making plans? Good question. Or when you're planning things with friends and family, how often are you the one doing that? This question can make you privy to the other person's communication style and what role they tend to take on in their most intimate relationships. Sometimes one person feels they have to do it all because the other person is not good at communicating, or maybe they are good at delegating. On the plus side, if your date is more of a planner and initiator, that lets you know they're responsible and reliable. Yeah, if you ask this question and they're like, oh, I'm never the one making plans. Maybe that shows this person doesn't really take the lead. This person doesn't really take initiative. They aren't into making plans. They, only go out if someone asks them out. That might be okay for some of you. It might not be okay for some of you.
So what she's saying here, women will ask these questions and probe in a covert manner to try and work out what sort of guy you are. Because, look, the truth of the matter is most women, like, you're going to get some that want to be overbearing and run their guys into the ground. But a lot of women don't want to have to think about things. They want a guy to come and sweep in and, do everything and make every decision and pay for everything and blah, blah, blah. And that's just a roundabout way of just working out if you're that kind of guy. A lot of games. Sounds like a lot of work, doesn't it, guys? That's why, once again, these are questions I think for women to ask men, because I just can't see a guy sitting there and asking questions like this. It's very effeminate. I've had women say to me, "You don't ask me any questions. Why don't you want to ask me anything?" And I just say, "Look, it's just the way I operate. I think the male brain works that way. Women are trying to pick and dig right in right away to try and work you out because." As I'm saying, these women in this age bracket, they're on a timeline. And so they're trying to work out very quickly, are they going to kick your ass out or not? And so I like to actually not give them too much information to make that decision. All right. How well do you feel like you compromise with others? So I think if a woman's going to ask you this means, can I bend you to my will? I'm not going to listen to this one. All right. Here we go. We'll listen to this one. What do you think is important for a healthy relationship?
What do you think is important for a healthy relationship? Okay, this feels a little stale. Knowing what your values are and asking about those specific values is how you get to know someone. You want to finish that first date with a clear answer on if you want a second. For example, if you value healthy communication, you'll want to know if your partner is the type of person to sit down and debrief with you after an argument, or will instead brush it off like nothing happened and move on. Again, I think this is one of those things where something can be great on paper, and when it comes to actually applying it to real life and a real scenario, it doesn't always translate. Someone could say all the right things and it not be accurate. I think this is another instance where...
Yep. Steve-O and Brycey, Skynet boys, you learn all the talking points and you roll them out. Why do we do this? Because you're going for this interview. It's like going for a job interview, okay? And you might not have maybe all the aligned experience, all the skills, but you can probably get in there in the job. Once you get your feet under the desk or once you get on the job site, you can work it out. You can close the gap pretty quick, all right? It's not rocket science. It's the exact same thing as this. You're just answering questions the way that the interviewer wants you to answer them, right? You work out what they want you to say and you say it. I listen to how they just probe dudes. It's just for me. I know maybe some guys like having these deep conversations with women on the first date. I just like hanging out. Like, it doesn't have to be action. Just hanging out, having a good time. Like, why are we asking all these really detailed things? Because all this says to me, right? Oh, I hated this. I used to hate this question. All right. But all this says to me is you are assessing me very quickly. You're trying to exclude me. You're doing an evaluation on the answers to questions. And the moment I say one thing you don't like, I'm gone. And this happens to a lot of men over and over and over again. And some turn to the dark side, right? And that's why guys start telling white lies, leading them on a bit. Just let shit happen. Let the world do its thing. That's what I say, all right? That's what I say. I've got no issue. I'm not an anti-relationship thing and all that. A guy, I'm not. I'm anti-moving in with chicks very quickly and anti-getting married very quickly. I can tell you that. But I'm not anti that. If that's what you want to do, cool. Why can't people just have fun with it? I think this is why there are so many women on dating apps who are like Courtney Ryan's here. Like I'm not critiquing her. She's actually, her responses here are pretty much aligned with mine for a change. You get all these women sort of like her in an age range, that look good and well put together and look like they got their life sorted out. But they're continuously single because they're probing, interviewing, and looking for all these things from men that doesn't exist or they're not going to get. And they're very, very quick to cut a guy off at the knees. Doesn't matter how good looking you are or whatever. If you just say the one odd thing, something that makes her think, give her the ick, as they say. I hate that stupid word, but you give them the ick, you're gone. Gone. Every single guy on the planet who's used a dating app would have experienced that.
And past relationships you needed to work on. You guys know how I feel about the past relationship questions on the first date, but let's read this. The answer to this one tells you, does this person reflect and how does this person hold themselves accountable? If they answer by casting the blame on everyone else, it's a red flag. Make sure you're screening for potentially toxic traits and looking out for healthy ones. Otherwise, you'll find yourself settling. I do think that the way someone answers this question can speak volumes of how good they are at self-reflection and just their character in general. You know, if you ask someone this and they bash their ex and they put all the blame on them and take no accountability for themselves, that's a red flag to me. Because you played a role too. And I've talked about this in a recent video I did. I can link that below for you where I go a little bit more in depth. But, if someone asks you this, I would stay neutral. Don't trash talk, don't badmouth. All it does is make you look bad. But I don't really know if this is something that I would recommend asking on a first date.
Okay, I love this one. Most guys are not going to want to answer this. Yeah, some guys that might be in that early stages, maybe after a bad breakup and then they trauma dump on a chick. Most of the time when I've ever experienced this, well, because I never used to trauma dump. I was not dumb enough to do that, all right? I'm not saying you're dumb, but I was smart enough to come across as someone well-adjusted. Even if you're going through a time of, the unknown, you've had a bad breakup, you're not emotionally in a good spot, you can't let them know that. That's my opinion. My opinion on this question is it's none of your business. Okay, I've had this asked many times by women. Some of them understand that you might not want to talk about it. Some of them probe, like really try and dig in there and do a psychoanalysis on you. And it was something that I found very rude, very off-putting, and frankly offensive. Don't ask me about all these things. It's none of your business. You'll never understand. You don't know the dynamic. And the same goes for guys asking these questions as well. I don't know how many guys would ask that, but yeah, that's just my view on it. I think it's for me, that was, I'm not going to say you again question. You asked me that, and if you probe, once I more or less say I don't want to talk about it, and you keep going, these women keep going, they want the information, they want to know your whole life history with women. And then they're going to assess you what you say, and then they're going to argue with you, because I have done this before once. That's why I never did it again. You say, oh, well, this happened because of this. Oh, well, you got to understand her point of view, and you're just like, get effed. Don't comment on my life when you don't know anything about it. All right, so that's my rants on that one. That was instant, never seeing you again question. Women are the ones here, guys. They're the ones that are going to tell you how their ex-husband, ex-boyfriend was Joseph Fritzl. He was Jeffrey Epstein. All right, he was some horrible guy. They're single, no fault of their own, no accountability. All they just want love. They're a nice girl who just wants a boyfriend, and they just want some guy to be nice to them. All right, you'll get that whole spiel. Most of the time, complete and utter BS. Complete and utter BS. All right, especially if you go for women that are recently separated and they might be going through the financial settlement. Now, I went on dates with, got a coffee with women that are in this particular stage. Why? Because they are easy pickings, guys. If you know what you're doing, because they just want to have a distraction from the bad situation that they're in, going through the courts and all this sort of BS. They're low-hanging fruit, recently separated chicks. Every single one in that phase would say to me just how horrible the guy was. It was, yeah, as I said, no accountability. They're bagging the guy out. They're saying, you should listen to some of the shit these women say, especially when they're angry about they want to get him for everything and all this sort of stuff. I had one say to me, "Oh, my ex, we've split up and blah blah blah, and I'm not getting the commercial benefits of his business or something like." It was a full-on business transaction the way she was telling me about it, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm never seeing you again." All right, what's this one? Who is the person you talk to the most? Who cares? You say, "Oh, it's my ex-girlfriend." Tell them that. What's the best gift you've ever received? Anal on the first date. All right, let's listen to this one. I probably wouldn't ask this question because you're just going to get a bullshit answer. I've had women say to me, how do you think we match? Or what do you think about the chemistry and stuff like that? And I don't think you need to ask that question. I think you're going to know, and they should be able to pick it up as well.
First impression of me. This one kind of reminds me of the question earlier of why did you want to go out with me or something like that. It was along those lines. This is a good question to ask when you're well into the date, when it's been a successful evening so far and you've had a quiet moment to reflect. It can help you get a sense of if they were paying attention to you or not. For example, if you're into sports and your date responds by saying, "You seem really athletic and like that you like hanging out in nature," you can tell this person sees you, but if their description is inaccurate in your view, it gives you the opportunity to show your true self or leave them in the dust if they simply seem uninterested. What was your first impression of me? Yeah, I would only ask this if the date has gone incredibly well, and honestly, I don't even know if I would ask this on a first date. I think I would ask this on a second date. Because
you're going to get a bullshit answer. It's a really stupid question, and it's women trying to fish for compliments. I certainly would never answer this date because you need to be confident and assume they like you. Oh, what do you like about me, or what don't you like about me? I don't know. It just comes from a place of insecurity. As I said, guys, this is why a lot of men don't like the dating process, because you get asked all these stupid questions, right? And I'm not saying Courtney Ryan. Like, in this video, normally I'm pretty critical of her. I'm actually not. She's pretty much on the money. It's like, you don't ask these stupid questions. No guy is going to read that article and ask these questions. This is all women, right, trying to have a checklist and interrogate men. That's why men hate dating, because a lot of the time it's just not fun. Right, you're going to get the 20 questions on the first date, even if you do the coffee walk, right? The coffee walk date, which I suggest you do, right? Because why would you want to pay for a dinner to get interrogated at a dinner? Do the coffee walk, cop the interrogation. You're going to get it. You're going to get it. So you need to have your pre-planned Brycey and Steve-O answers ready to go. You've got to know which topics to dodge. And I can tell you now, guys, you're going to get a lot of this from women 35 plus, because they're quick to the point and they're very much unreasonable, and they are strictly business when it comes to the dating experience. There's no live and let live. There's no find out and see how we go. It's all, I want an implied. So they're going to ask you, the big one is, what are you looking for here, right? If you're on a dating app, you're going to get that. You're going to get that. You just got to lie. Just say, yeah, I'm looking for something serious. Just say it. Put on your profile, looking for long term, even if it's not true. I've had all these women that had all these things on their profile, long term, no one night stand, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Did one night stands. Guess what? Did FWB. It means nothing what's in their profile. Completely ignore it. Completely ignore it. It's a shame that men have to resort to this. Because how do you know? How do you know if you're going to like that person? Anything can happen over a series of dates. You might be right into her for a bit, and then she says something, does something, I don't know, farts on your face when you're going down on her, whatever it might be, you might not want to commit to them. It's just a stupid question. Everyone, look, human nature is, most guys would love to have a long-term girlfriend they can trust and all that. That's pretty common. That's pretty common. A Brycey and a Steve-O, they'll take a good chick off the market and make a girlfriend out of her because they can identify which one stands out from the pack, right? But any of these questions. Fucking. All right.
If you get the second date, it means that the first date went well enough for them to want to go out with you again. But this question could be really awkward. So yeah. Not the best question, honestly, in my opinion. The next one is, what made you most excited about going on a date with me? Again, it seems kind of similar to the last one. This is a jumping off point to share more about yourself. This can also lead to questions like, what's most important for you to know about me? And what's something totally random you'd like to know about me? If they answer with, I don't know, nothing, then you have your answer. Well, yeah, obviously. The person that you're out with should want to get to know you on a deeper level and just want to know things about you and remember those things that you tell them.
I don't fucking remember shit. All right, guys, that's enough. As I said, women just suck the fun out of it. That's really it, guys, especially at this particular age. When they're younger, you don't really cop a lot of this stuff. I never really did. I really noticed it when I went into dating after I was separated, right? Strictly business, intentional dating. I want to know this. I want to know that. Yeah, awesome. So much fun. Awesome deal. All right, guys, see you in the next video.